All right, here's going to be a little update on the Mustang. We're going to put headers on it. I got this set of headers from my 69 Mustang that I'm not going to use because they weren't the correct port size. They're more for a stock style manifold with smaller rectangle ports, which is exactly what this 289 has. So we're going to work on putting these in. They're cheap Flowtech brand, but I mean the ceramic coated. They'll be better flowing than the rusty tri-wise that are on here now. So we're gonna get to work with disassembling these, and hopefully all the bolts come out of the head okay. And underneath of the exhaust flange is very rusty, so we're probably gonna have to put some WD-40 or something on there to maybe loosen it up. And again, sorry for some background noise. I got my fans running on my wood stove. It's like 0 degrees right now, so gotta stay warm. Alrighty, so I got the lower flanges off. They weren't too bad actually. Probably had more rust than I wanted to following my face and mouth, but they're off. This lower mid pipe is just a flex pipe kind of deal, like flexible exhaust pipe. It's got a heck of a kink right here, which this side is not flexible at all. It's all, you know, actual exhaust pipe. I'm not sure who did all this or, you know, how old this is, but it's probably going to stay in the car for now until I get time, you know, when it's on the road and get most of the corks out of it. Might replace all this. I mean, to be honest, besides the horrible exhaust leak down here, it sounded pretty decent. It's got it looks like a set of glass pack mufflers on it. I think so. They're cherry bombs, I think. They're red, if you can see that. All right, now I'm gonna work on getting these header bolts out up top of the cylinder head. I already got one out just to see whether they were gonna fight me or not, which I mean, it's a little rusty, but it actually came out fairly easy. A few of these are going to be a little harder to get to, just because they're so close to the plug wire and the actual header itself. It's not a whole lot of room on the sides, but hopefully in a little bit we'll have these out and we can start putting new ones in. Alrighty, well, I got the passenger side headers out. I had to take one of the plugs out just so I could get room for it to drop down out of the bottom. And with that out, you can kind of get to see a side-by-side comparison between the two. I mean, these almost look homemade. They might be, I don't know, they're very primitive looking. I mean, you can tell a lot of hammering and sketchiness kind of going on. I'm not sure if this is how stuff was done back in the day or if somebody kind of just made it themselves, but either way, you know, gotta use what you gotta use. These really are just generic, nothing fancy headers, so should bolt up. I might run into an issue, a similar issue I had with the ones I put on my 69, with the collector might want to be really close to the cross member for the transmission. Hope it's not, because I don't feel like dealing with all that really. But if it is, I can do some minor tweaking stuff to get everything lined up to where it should be. But yeah, let's get these ones in there and see how they fit. Alrighty, we got the passenger side one in. Went in pretty easy. I'm working on the driver's side. Gotta get up underneath of it and get the Z-bar off, which is the bar that goes from side to side, right there. It's for the clutch linkage. It's kind of a pain to get to, so hopefully it's not too bad. Biggest thing to remember is make sure to be patient when doing stuff like this, because it's a little tedious. I mean, half the header bolts you got to tighten or loosen with a wrench, or you can't get a full turn on it. So it takes a little bit of time. You just gotta, you know, be careful. Don't rush things, because when you get aggravated in it, then it really turns into a job. Alrighty, I got the Z-bar removed. As you can see here, it is. It's a little grimy and greasy. I'm probably gonna go ahead and clean it up a little bit. Not going to go as far to paint it, but just get some of this grime off of it. Maybe double check all these Carter pin connections and make sure everything's working how it's supposed to be. And a big thing is this is the bracket that sits underneath of the steering box, and it's, you know, where two bolts are. Not the funnest thing to be able to reach. You know, the bolt's only an inch long, but it feels a mile long trying to get it out of there. But this shaft over here rotates on these like nylon plastic bushings. There's one of these that, just like this, minus the bracket, that threads into the side of the block. And it's a good thing you gotta check these things are rolling and can move, because that will affect your clutch pedal and feel kinda. Which this one is seized up. It will not turn at all. The one on the block does turn, so that one's fine. So I think I have one of these here, since I went with the hydraulic throwout bearing on my 69 Mustang. I'd ordered one of these. So if I do have one, I'll probably go ahead and change it out. If not, I'm going to soak this thing and try to get it freed up to where it can move, and then I'll re-grease it. That way everything's working how it's supposed to when I put it back together. Alrighty, the other headers are installed and they look pretty good. There's a very minimal clearance between the header and the shock tower. What I basically had to do was, there's no way for the exhaust header actually come up through the bottom without taking the motor mount out on this side and jacking the motor up, which I had to do that in my other car as well. So it's, I think, a typical thing for these older Ford Mustangs, probably a lot of older cars in general. Wasn't a big deal. Loosened the motor mount bolt. It was just one stud with a nut on the bottom, and then I put a 2x4 here, and I just placed it on the jack like this and came up alongside underneath the motor mount and jacked it up. It's not the correct way to do things. I don't have an engine hoist, so I kind of did what I had to do to get things done. I wouldn't really recommend doing that as long as you don't mind losing a finger if something, you know, goes wrong. But really happy with how they look. I still got to install that Z-bar linkage. I did find I have a new plastic bushing here and an E-clip. So I'm going to install them soon. I kind of went ahead and put a little bit of paint on these things after I degreased them. I mean, might have them out, so might as well. They're going to be dry here in a little bit, and then I'll put them in the car. Alright, both of these are pretty well greased up. A little excess is better than a little less, in my opinion, on this, just because there's really a lot of wear and tear that can go on these items if they're not maintained, which this clearly hasn't. There's already a lot of signs of wear on some of the, like the rod that pushes the throwout bearing. It's got a decent amount of play in it, which I should honestly probably look about getting maybe a new one, or maybe there might be supposed to be a bushing of some sorts in it. I'm not sure, but put these in, and then we'll get the Z-bar back in, and we'll be done. All right, so headers, Z-bar, everything's back installed inside the Mustang here. So all that's left to do really is put the collectors together where the rest of the exhaust go, which I'm gonna have to cut this down because it's too long. Probably take this connection here off, and then I need to get a little adapter because it's a 3-inch collector, and the ends here go down to a 2.5, but that's I believe 2 1/4 is what the rest of the exhaust is. So we're gonna have to put another little adapter that necks it down. I might work on getting rid of this mess here, but not really sure. I mean, it looks horrible, but it's underneath the car, and I'm not really particularly worried about it. But all right, that's all for this episode. Again, thanks for watching. If you enjoy what I'm doing, or you know, how the videos are coming out, I'm slowly getting a little bit better, but you know, leave a like, subscribe. I like to, you know, hear feedback on what you guys think.